I'm Dean, I'm the dad.
Laura, I'm the mom.
And I'm Kristlyn, I'm the daughter.
And together we are Family Plot. Oh, that was nice. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way very quickly. First and foremost, you want to help us out. There's a couple ways to do that. One is Patreon with $1 and $3 donations. And I decided to extend last month's experiment, which means we're sitting at 5 $3 donations. If we get 5 more in April, we'll go ahead and make Krysta do all those drawings.
So, we need 5 people to join Patreon.
At the $3 level.
And Krysta will draw all 10 Patreon members your very own unique, one-of-a-kind piece of artwork.
Exactly.
And we will mail them out to you or digitally send them to you, whichever you prefer, because our Krysta can also do digital art.
I can do digital. I can do physical.
Now, Patreon is a monthly donation thing. It's also, you can pause it if you need to. However, if you can't do a monthly commitment, you can do a one-time donation through Buy Me a Coffee of just $1 or $2. If you enjoy the show, please share it on social media.
Share it with friends.
Share it with family.
With everyone. If you don't enjoy the show, please keep it to yourself. Now, tonight we go to Yorkshire, England, there to meet Peter Sutcliffe, a man who was obsessed with sex workers and eventually began to kill them. Police would interview Sutcliffe multiple times, and yet they would not come to believe he was the killer in this crazy English true crime episode of the Family Plot podcast.
Well, this should be interesting, but I have to say that it's a little sad because we've moved Krista's Corner. Krista's Corner has been relocated.
Yes.
Into the show, so we don't get to say first anymore.
Right.
Because
our fans want us to get into the topics, so
let's.
Yep. So let's talk about Peter a little bit. He was born on June 2nd to a hippo and an ostrich. Wait, that's not right. He was born June 2nd, 1946 to John and Kathleen Sutcliffe. Peter's life would be a rough one. John was the oldest of 6 children, 2 brothers and 3 sisters. John has been, this is his dad we're talking about, not Peter, has been described as a monster by his children, and they tell many stories of his cruelty and drunkenness. Peter Sutcliffe idolized his mother and watched as she was abused regularly by his father. Further, John Sutcliffe often went after his own children as well. Peter's younger brother once claimed that when his father got home, they would change the mood of the home immediately. He said John Sutcliffe only cared about a few things: playing English football, watching cricket, singing in the choir, beer, and womanizing.
He just sounds like a treat. No.
Yes, I know. John, as I said, lashed out at his own children. When Peter was 5 years old, his father smashed a beer glass over his head for sitting in his chair at the table on Christmas.
Well, how dare he?
In addition to his father being a womanizer, his mother also had the occasional lover. One time, John posed as his wife's lover to get her to a local motel. John surprised her there and had Peter and two of his siblings with him while he humiliated her about her infidelity, even removing lingerie from her purse. John Sutcliffe's a great guy. I wish I could know him. Starting at the age of 4 years old, Peter is sent to St. Joseph's Catholic primary school. He would be severely bullied by the other students and left school without finishing when he was 15. This was the environment Peter was raised in. By the time he's in his teens, Peter is obsessed with female sex workers and would hide in the bushes to spy on them regularly.
What?
Yes.
This is just
Basically horrifying? Yeah.
so not good. Thanks. We're gonna get a little bit of fight.
Yes. We're going to get a little breather as we turn the show over to Krysta and Krista's Corner. Yay!
It's not just any corner, it's Krista's Corner.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the corner.
Welcome to the newly located corner.
Yeah, it was newly located last week, but we newly located it.
No,
So
we
we
didn't
got-
move it last week.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
we did.
Did we?
Yep.
Wow.
Same place, too.
Oh, that's right. Guys, I'm sorry. You just have to cut the I completely for it's been a rough couple of weeks.
It's been a rough couple weeks, and we've both been sick with some kind of stomach thing, so it's okay.
I'm working my second job this weekend. Really gonna be rough.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. How are we doing today? How was our day then today?
Pretty good. Yeah.
So you're hanging out in there. You're pretty good. I'm going through a lot.
Yeah, but
We're
you
not
know
gonna
what?
talk about it
You
here.
are-
But
You are dealing with it with grace and maturity, and I'm very proud of you.
found some stuff out. So yeah,
That's okay.
heck yeah. Okay. Let's start off by saying my day has been pretty okay so far.
That's good.
And I have watched some more debates, so that's pretty much what I'm going to talk about today.
Cool.
But also my obsession with dogs recently and different types of dogs. First of all, we watched more balloon debates. Today was terrible. The debates today were really bad.
They were bad.
Yeah, there was only one, but what they did was like what are TV shows better than movies.
Oh.
They were both unprepared.
Oh,
And
so
they-
like the debaters were bad, not that the topic was bad.
No, the topic wasn't that bad at all. The debaters were very unready. They're doing their characters very well, especially the person who played Mike Tyson. It was Mike Tyson versus Bing Bong, and Bing Bong at least did a little bit of something. But mostly, no, there wasn't really anything that they did right in that. And, like, yes, I chuckled a couple times at Bing Bong because they're funny, but, like, otherwise I was just like, this is not that great.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
It's fine. But, another one that I watched, which was Dr. Doofenshmirtz versus Nikola Tesla.
Right.
Woo! It was like a 5-0 decision. And no, it was a 6-0. It was a 6-0 decision, and Nikola Tesla won. So, because Dr. Doofenshmirtz, while they were ready, they didn't have much information to back them up, and all they did was bring up the pigeon once. You guys know the pigeon that he fell in love with? I don't remember.
Pidgey.
Hmm?
I think his name was Pidgey.
I think so.
He had Balloony and Pidgey.
Yeah, I think so.
I
It's
don't
just
know
like
who
that
the heck
bird
she's
Dr.
talking.
Doofenshmirtz?
I don't know who that is. I have no clue. I have no frame of...
I meant like Nikola Tesla had a major love scene going on with Pigeon.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Oh, you don't?
I was talking about Jupiter's Hurts. I don't know nothing about.
Oh, yeah. Nikola Tesla had a love thing going on with a pigeon. And they only brought it up once in their argument, even though they could have brought it up a couple times. I'm a My Little Pony, so I'm just gonna be like, should I be scared for my family too, or are you just going for birds right now? Because my topic is
Oh, do you have to go against Tesla?
Oh yeah, I do.
When is that?
That is Monday.
Yeah. You get to Pinkie Pie again?
I do get to Pinkie Pie again, which means I'm going to ask you a huge favor of doing my hair now.
We're gonna curl her hair again.
Okay.
I like her hair curled.
I do too.
Curls is nice. So that hopefully the curls stay in the
They stayed in. They stayed in for 2 days straight.
Yeah, but by the end of the first day, you had lost a lot of the curl definition.
Because I brushed through it. It worked really well, besides that.
Okay.
But, yeah, we had that debate. It was okay. Like, I thought it was really funny. I thought Nikola Tesla was really funny. And I can't wait to go up against them, but at the same time, they're more experienced than I am. So it's just like, I'm kind of scared of you, but it's okay. It'll be okay.
I'm proud of you.
And then the other one was, I think, Edward Scissorhands against Gordon Ramsay. That was fun. Apparently I think it was another 6-0, but I disagree with that because I put in Eli, which was Gordon Ramsay. But, yeah, that was pretty fun. Also, we had a couple others. I can't remember totally what happened, but I thought it was really funny the whole time. Besides that, that's about it for like balloon debates and stuff. Pretty excited for mine because I want to do more Essence on the Pinkie Pie this time. I also don't think we have school on Monday, so I think I'm in Tuesday. But whatever. Yeah, dogs. I've had an obsession with specifically recently German Shepherds and Border Collies and like the fluffier kinds of dogs, you know? So like Golden Retrievers, stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely.
And I don't really have any facts to share about them, but I do want to talk about them at some point. That's about it.
Alright.
Awesome. Here, let me give you some claps. Very nice. Now, you did that so well.
Would you like to take our next one?
Yes, I would. Peter begins working mostly menial jobs, including working briefly at a local factory and a local mill.
That word was menial, not menial. Menial. No. I'm not.
Menial.
He's just telling you for the next.
Yeah, I'm not trying to embarrass you, babe. I just.
Menial.
Yeah.
Though he does get work at the local cemetery, he brags his friends that he robs. Wait, what? He brags to his friends that he robs corpses and enjoys his job at the cemetery a bit too much, even offering to watch corpses for overtime. That's crazy. He works there part-time for some time until he gets a job driving a truck. In 1974, he gets married to Sanaya Suzurma?
Yep.
Awesome. He met her at a nightclub. You know that's bad. She was the daughter of Czech, pronounced Czech. Okay, I think that was a me note, but I said it out loud. Refugees. They wed and later she was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. They never have children.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
People with paranoid schizophrenia don't generally do a great job with being able to be a super good role model.
Right, and
between her issues and the fact that he was a psycho murderer, that would have been a really bad thing.
Right.
I think it would have been a repeat of his father, John. At least.
Yeah. Weirdly, repeat fits there because his name is Pete. So he would be a repeat.
So, babe, do you think we should take a short break for a word from our fellow podcasters?
Yes. Yes, we should take a short break.
Hi there, Oz here from the Oddball Aussie Podcast. If you're not listening to the Oddball Aussie Podcast, then you're missing out. You're missing out on cryptids, aliens, ghosts, and a ton of weird stuff. We've even got urban legends and crazy conspiracy theories. So if you want to hear the weird tales and lame dad jokes from the brain of a slightly deranged Aussie, then tune in to the Oddball Aussie Podcast. New episodes every week. You can find me where all good podcasts are found. Look after each other and stay safe out there in the weird.
Father,
Yes.
I feel very sponsored.
That's good. That's good. I also look forward to listening to their podcast, so that'll be interesting.
Yes.
Absolutely love the podcast.
So, do you want to follow Peter into this next phase of his?
Pete, and in 1969, Peter follows a sex worker into a parking garage and hits her on the head with a stone in a sack.
Girl, what?
Well, we knew he was getting ready to start becoming a murderer. She gets his license plate, so he didn't kill this one. He just smacked her over the head. She gets his license plate. The vehicle actually belonged to a friend of Peter's named Trevor Birdsall. And the police track him down and question him about the incident. He claims that he struck her with his hand. She did not want to press charges, so the police let it go. In 1975, he attacks 36-year-old Anna
Rugolski?
I think.
Rugolski is what I'm guessing.
With a hammer and a knife.
Oh.
He is interrupted in this assault by her neighbor emerging into their yard, and he leaves her for dead.
For what?
She survives, goes through brain surgery, however, is so traumatized by the attack, she refuses to cooperate with the police. He then attacks 41-year-old Olive Smeltz after engaging her in conversation. He is interrupted by a passing car, so he flees, allowing her to survive. He tells the police her attacker had a Yorkshire accident, but the police don't seem to care. Later that month, he attacks 14-year-old Tracy Brown in Silsden. He is interrupted by a passing motorist and flees, leaving her alive. She later has brain surgery, but is left without memory of this attack.
I would rather not have memory of it. 100% would rather not have memory of it.
Yeah, but the issue is he's getting away with attacking more and more people.
Yeah, I know that's an issue, but
I get you. I see what you're saying, for sure.
yeah, if I could, I would be like, yeah. So this happened, and this is what he looked like, and stop him.
Pretty much.
So, let's take a moment for a word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and talk about some more of this man's victim.
Hey, honey.
Yes, dear. That's amazing. I am so glad.
Also, that was a really cool sponsor.
Yes. Yes. So, his next victim, and this guy's all over the place. Like, his type is sex workers. Like, he doesn't care how old or how young. He's just all over the map.
I feel like his type may just be women in general.
And that may be true because he goes after some people who aren't sex workers. We'll get to that too.
Like the 14-year-old?
Yeah, I don't know that 14-year-old was a sex worker.
Unless she's Aisha Erotica. That's something.
Well, I mean, she definitely could have been. We're talking about the 60s, but...
Aisha Erotica.
No, this is the 70s by this point.
60s, 70s.
But yeah, so it's possible she could have been, but we don't know for sure. So his next victim is 28-year-old Wilma Mary McCann. He hits her with a hammer and stabs her multiple times. She passes of her injuries, and I think she's the first to do that. He's missed it. He's missed the mark every time. The police make a concerted effort to find her killer. Over 150 West Yorkshire police officers investigated the murder, and over 11,000 interviews were conducted with the police. And the police were still no closer to catching the killer. Next, he goes after 42-year-old Emily Jackson, whom he stabs 52 times. Jackson was a particularly rough case, as she and her husband were having financial issues, and her husband talked her into prostitution as a short-term solution to their financial problems. A few months later, he picks up Marcella Claxton, seeing her walking down the street on her way home from a party. The 20-year-old was pregnant, but that didn't stop Sutcliffe from attacking her. She survives the assault. However, she loses the baby and is forced to undergo several surgeries. About 2.5 weeks later, he murders 28-year-old Irene Richardson. 2 months after that, he takes the life of Patricia Atkinson Mitra, who he killed in her own home, and police found his boot print on her bedclothes. In 1977, Sutcliffe killed 16-year-old Jane Michael McDonald on her way home from a night out with friends. A short time later, he assaulted 43-year-old Maureen Long, and a witness misidentified Sutcliffe's vehicle, so over 300 officers checked out various cars without success. Some months later, Sutcliffe murdered 20-year-old Jean Bernadette Jordan. Sutcliffe claimed the reason he killed her was to get back a 5-pound note that he believed could be traced to him. While police did find it in a hidden compartment in her purse, and it was eventually traced to his bank, it was never traced back to him directly. He was one of the potential suspects interviewed, but he was not arrested. In December of 1977, he attacked Marilyn Moore, a 25-year-old sex worker who escaped him. She was able to give police a good description of both Sutcliffe and his vehicle. In 1978, Sutcliffe went on to kill sex workers Yvonne Ann Pearson, who was 21, Alina Ritka, who was 18, Vera Evelyn Millward, who was 40, and finally Josephine Ann Whitaker, a 19-year-old clerk, not even a sex worker. So his type at this point has now become just women. He's not even he doesn't have an age. He doesn't.
Absolutely not. He's all over the map as far as ages go and
How they look, how they dress, how
Right.
they, yeah.
appearances.
Yes, that. Sidetracked by a hoax, it is around this time that someone sends a tape to the West Yorkshire police. It is addressed to George Oldfield, a member of the West Yorkshire PD in charge of the investigation, and curiously, it
Reports, yeah.
to be from Jack the Ripper. The tape began as follows. I'm Jack. I see you're having no luck catching me. I have the greatest respect for you. George. And a Lord? Is that where I'm going? Yeah. But Lord, you're no nearer catching me now than 4 years ago when I started. Sorry. The speaker had a Wearside accent, and press dubbed him the Wearside Ripper. The letters proved to be a hoax in 2005. John Samuel Humble? Or was it Humble? Anyway, was convicted of perverting the cause of justice for his role in this hoax. And Peter Sutcliffe continues his story.
Okay. So basically what they're saying there is that someone thought that they were cute
Right.
and tried to say, hey, I'm the Ripper.
Right.
And they got in trouble for
I
it.
feel like I've heard that quote before.
Probably.
I'm Jack. I see you have no luck catching me. I have the greatest respect for you, George. But Lord, you're no nearer catching me now than 4 years ago when I started.
Yep.
That sounds like something we've said in an old episode.
Might have been in the actual Jack the Ripper episode that we did, but I think it's close, but I don't think it's dead on.
I think it's dead on, but I do remember something like
Yeah,
that.
very similar.
Yeah.
On September 21st, 1979, the day before my second birthday.
You were 2 years old?
The day before my second birthday, yes. On the September 21st, 1979 was the day before my second birthday.
Hey,
Yeah.
glad he didn't kill you.
Well, he was kind of on the other side of the pond, so it's probably good.
Glad
Anyway, Sutcliffe killed 20-year-old Barbara Jean Leach, a Bradford University student, and this death rallied many as she was not a sex worker. He was also interviewed twice more that year. In April of 1980, Sutcliffe was arrested for drunk driving. While awaiting trial, he murdered 47-year-old civil servant Marguerite Walls. He later attacked Apada Bandara, a 34-year-old doctor from Singapore. A doc? Wow, he really is moving up.
Yeah.
He also attacked 21-year-old Maureen Lay, an art student at Leeds University, as well as 16-year-old Theresa Sykes.
Guessing Teresa Sykes?
Probably Teresa. Yeah, you're right. On November 17th, 1980, he kills his final victim, 20-year-old Leeds University student Jacqueline Hill.
So that takes us to November 25th, 1980. Trevor Birdsall, Sutcliffe's friend and the man who had driven him around the day of his first attack in 1969, calls police to report Sutcliffe as a suspect. At that point, Sutcliffe had been interviewed by the police no less than 9 times in regards to the Yorkshire Ripper case. In fact, he was one of 300 people who that £5 note could have been traced to, but they hadn't worked it down that far yet.
Gotcha.
On January 2nd, 1981, police pull over Sutcliffe, who has sex worker Olivia Reavers in the car with him. As police talk to him, they realize he has false numbers on his license plate, and they attempt to arrest him. He breaks away from the police briefly, but is quickly caught and sent to the West Yorkshire police station, where they begin to interview him in regards to Ripper's slayings, as he matches many of the physical characteristics reported by some of the victims.
Right.
The next day, Police Sergeant Robert Ring, acting on a hunch, returns to the scene where Sutcliffe was arrested. Looking around, he finds a hammer, knife, and a rope hidden behind an oil tank that Sutcliffe managed to dispose of when he made his break from the police. Another knife is recovered from a toilet cistern in the police station itself. After this and 2 days of intensive questioning, Sutcliffe suddenly announced that he was the Yorkshire Ripper and was charged with 13 counts of homicide and 7 counts of attempted homicide. A few days later, he announced God told him to commit the murders.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
He's gonna blame it on God? Love of
He did that in front of God and everybody. For real. At trial, he pled innocent of the murder charges, but guilty of the reduced charges of manslaughter. His reasoning was that he was a tool of God's will, and thus had diminished capacity to understand the murders. 4 psychiatrists independently evaluated him and declared him to be a paranoid schizophrenic. So the Crown was going to accept this plea. However, Justice Sir Leslie Boreham, I'm going to say Boreham, insisted that Sutcliffe stand trial for his crimes. The trial lasted 2 weeks, and Peter Sutcliffe was found guilty of 13 murders and 7 attempted murders, and given a life sentence for each one.
Good. He needed to be behind bars for sure. But with this crime, there were police criticisms. So the Yorkshire police were heavily criticized for their failure to catch Peter Sutcliffe. Many felt that if he had not targeted mostly sex workers, he would have been caught much sooner. Indeed, his last 6 victims were not sex workers. Furthermore, police interviewed Sutcliffe 9 times, but this was the largest police manhunt in England conducted at a time when computers were not in use. So all of this case information was recorded on paper, and cross-referencing information was difficult, if not impossible. Many feel that if the Yorkshire police had tried as hard to solve the case when he was killing mostly sex workers, he never would have killed so many people. People also feel that the police were, in a way, blaming the victims, especially after announcing that women should stay indoors at night.
Yeah, that's one thing. And even at the trial, the main prosecutor said something to the effect of a lot of this case has sort of gone by the wayside because so many of his victims were sex workers. But the saddest thing is the last 6 victims weren't. And a lot of sex workers took that as, well, your lives are meaningless. If you hadn't killed these 6 people, we wouldn't care. And so, and that, like,
that's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the big issue.
Right. And that is why the picture on this episode is a picture of women holding up signs that say "Reclaim the Night," because they were pissed.
Well, and you really can't blame them. Absolutely. I understand completely.
Why wouldn't they be upset? Like, dude is literally murdering people just because they're doing like sex work, and and then other people he just murdered out of nowhere.
And here's my thing: I don't ever think that it was about them being sex workers. I think that they
them being
were
women.
Visual. They were there. It was something that he had a visual on and could see on the streets of where he lived. And so it was like from the Silence of the Lambs, when he goes through with Clarice and he says, what do we begin to covet? We covet things that we see every day. And it's that same kind of mentality that he wanted to tear that down because it was something that he could see. It was something that was there. And he just escalated until he got to a point that he could start taking those lives.
And that's probably true. After his trial, Sutcliffe admitted to 2 more attacks. However, the prosecutors thought that there was nothing to be gained by prosecuting the additional cases. Sutcliffe died on November 13th, 2020, after refusing treatment for COVID-19, which killed him due to underlying conditions like diabetes and obesity. So he only just passed.
He's not very pretty looking. That's for sure.
Oh, did you look up a picture of him?
Oh yeah, no, he's kind of creepy. Well, young him is creepy. Old him is just sad. Yeah, that's old him. She had pictures of young him too.
Oh yes, I did. You want to see it? Sure.
Yeah, young him looks like a murderer. Like if I was a cop and arrested him, I'd be like, "You've done something. I'm gonna put you."
Oh, there's something going on with you.
Yeah, that guy does not look like normal.
In color, it's even worse.
He was probably one of the most positive deaths, probably maybe even the most positive death in association with COVID-19.
Wow, we found someone you don't like, and that's rare.
Oh yeah, no, no.
Pretty awful.
No.
He was pretty awful. I mean, yes, he came from a really bad background, but I mean,
Okay, he did. However, but I have some things about that. Like, okay, maybe John Sutcliffe destroyed Peter, kind of. Watching John tear down his mother, who Peter idolized, made him want to tear down all women, right? I get that. But my question is then how many people who live in situations, pardon my French, and I'll have to bleep that,
they grow up and they become better from that.
Right. They don't give in to the demons. They rise above. And he could have done that.
I feel like it takes a certain amount of strength to have that, though. I feel like for him to move past that with his dad being his complete idol in the fact that no matter how much he got hurt, he's still his dad. He's still a male role model.
Well, you also have to wonder.
You also, at the same time, if you're like, oh my gosh, this is my role model. He is beating my mother, and my mother did something that was really bad, but it doesn't matter. It's like, he's upset with women because he thought that his mom was the whole issue with the infidelity and just stuff like that. I feel like to get past that, you need help to move past it. And in order to get that help, I don't think he had that help that he needed to get past that and like not be a terrible person. Because usually when you see a terrible person, they were not treated correctly throughout their whole life, and they either refused help or they didn't get help, and just nobody noticed it.
Well, and that's something else too, is that he had 4 psychiatrists diagnose him with paranoid schizophrenia, which is the same thing his wife had. And I wonder, I mean, I guess it's possible 2 paranoid schizophrenics could be together, but I imagine that would be a very violent relationship, and I didn't find anything where she and he tied into it at all. So I kind of wonder if he wasn't smart enough to just emulate his wife and do what she did.
That's possible.
So I wonder about that. I also, like I said, he had brothers and sisters, and they didn't turn out to be
half as bad as he did. But
okay, but coming from a family where I am the oldest, and you are the oldest, he was the oldest of 6. So you have to imagine that the worst of the worst fell to him.
Yeah. I'm assuming that most of the time when his dad wasn't there or when his mom couldn't take care of him, he had to step forward and he had to watch his little siblings do what he could to protect them and not focus on himself. That is another thing that might cause like something like this, taking full responsibility for stuff. That's just like, oh hey, my parents should be doing this, but they can't, so I have to step forward and do it anyway.
That's the other thing that I was going to say. It also makes you wonder if he wasn't trying to punish these women for the fact that his mother couldn't protect him. He idolized her, but she didn't protect herself and she didn't protect him or his siblings. So you almost feel like as much as she idolized him, at the same time, maybe he was displacing his anger and taking it out on these other females because his mother didn't protect him.
And that's probably true. But like I said, I just think, whatever reason you say, well, he did this because of this, he had 5 siblings.
Right.
And
you totally
And none of them
coming from the point of being the oldest.
It's from the point of being the oldest, but at the same time, when you think about a younger sibling, they are more able to get help, especially if it's from older siblings and from other people. They will most likely saw it a different way because everybody has a different perspective.
But
they most likely moved out of the house or something like that and got help.
But they all just said their dad was an ass, basically, and that he came in and he was just this unpredictably violent ass.
Maybe Pete saw it a different way.
Maybe. I just don't have a whole lot of...
If they all said that he was being an A-word, because I'm not allowed to say that, but then maybe he didn't agree with that. Maybe he thought he was doing the right thing because he was just like, oh, hey, yeah, my mom, she messed up. She's not protecting us. They saw it a different way because they weren't the ones having to protect themselves. They had their older brother. They also felt like they had their mother there with them. I mean, obviously, it's gonna be different things. It's gonna be like, they're gonna feel a different way. They're gonna have different perspective because their lives have been different. It's not completely the same. I mean, obviously, yes, there were things, there were perspectives that they shared, but also they will have different points of views and different things that they see that maybe another person may not see, which also kind of conspires me with the whole schizophrenia thing that they diagnosed him with. I feel like that may have happened. He may have had it for a while now.
And that's possible. It's just, I don't trust anything about this guy. I really don't. And I'll be honest, I wonder why his friend took 20 years to figure out that his friend was creepy. I mean, you have Peter, when he's younger, working at the morgue saying, I steal bodies. Somebody should call somebody at that point.
Right, and I'm not standing up for him at all. I think what he did was really awful, and I think that he deserved the time that he got in jail, and I think that he deserved the death he died. However, I'm not going to say that something didn't happen to him for him to turn out like this. You can have a wonderful childhood and turn out like this.
That's true.
But he still had a terrible childhood and tried to take it out on other people, and he found out that it was working. That's why so many therapists recommend finding different ways to protect yourself and finding different ways to stop from hurting others as well. Because stuff like this can progress very fast, and it can turn into somebody really harming people.
And you know who he seems a British counterpart to me? Mm-hmm. Green River Killer. They both targeted the same kind of women, mostly street workers, mostly sex workers. Mm-hmm. I almost said streetwalkers, which is a very bad thing to say, so I apologize for that. But yeah, mostly sex workers, and he did it a lot. They attacked so many people at a time when the police could not easily assimilate and compare records.
And that's it. I think that now we are able to get a lot farther forensically because we were able to talk to one another over great distances, where still all the way back, even in 2005, when he was finally arrested.
No, 2005 is when John Humble was caught for sending those Wareside Ripper hoax tapes.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
He was caught, I want to say, in 81. In 81. He was caught in 81. So he spent a good 40 years behind bars before he died.
I mean, good.
Oh, yeah, I'm not... I'm not saying that's too much. I'm just... But then, and that's the other thing, is the police catch a lot of heck in this case for not catching him sooner. They did interview him no less than 9 times.
They interviewed him a lot, and maybe he's just a pathological liar.
Well, I'm sure he's a pathological liar if he got 4 psychologists to say he was schizophrenic. I'm sure he's a pathological liar.
Oh, I'm
or
sure
he's
he is.
schizophrenic. Either way, he's going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if they've interviewed him 9 times and still didn't find out. Like,
But
I think that's what he's saying, though, Chris. I think what he's saying is they interviewed him 9 times, but they didn't get enough from him in those interviews to take it any further than that.
well, yeah.
but my point is this. Maybe they didn't okay, we know the last interview they made him say, I am the Yorkshire Ripper. That's what happened. But the 8 before, maybe they would have broke him in one of those if they were taking the crimes more seriously at that point.
Take the crimes very seriously, and I agree with that.
I agree with that as well.
And because they're sex workers, which is yet another thing that went against the investigators in the Green River case.
They didn't because they figured that was a waste.
Because
They figured that was a waste. So it was just like, why spend time on this? We don't like prostitutes. Like, why?
Right. And on top of that, you have the police saying things like, well, if you're female, you should stay indoors. If you're going to go out with a guy.
He went inside a woman's house and killed her in her house. So he might have gotten to women regardless of where they were and what they were doing.
That one, she was a sex worker, and she brought him to her house.
Okay, but that's still killing her inside of her house.
Well, that's true. I'm just saying he met her on the street. Yes, the police idea. If all the women stayed indoors, he probably would have had a much harder time of things. However, it is when men are getting killed. If there's a guy running around with a gun shooting other guys, they don't tell them guys to stay indoors.
No,
they don't. It's because women were different.
So
who says a guy is going to protect the girl from another guy? You could just run away, be scared.
Right. That's true too, but I'm just saying. So that was another thing the police got.
A lot of guys are.
We were watching that episode of Grey's Anatomy the other day, and their active shooter, and every time the shots would start going off, the guy would duck for cover and push his fiance up.
Which is stupid. Like, dude, you're the man.
She chilled. No. She said, we are so over it.
That's your fiance.
So, but that's my other point, is that the police were reduced to giving this advice that was just so. He's not targeting 13-year-olds for the most part.
Not for the most part, but he did try to kill a 14-year-old or killed a 14-year-old.
Which that's so creepy because that's Krysta's age. Which makes me so glad that I am not one of those parents that lets my kids just run around, because I know where Krysta is and nobody's going to stab her. Most likely.
I know how to self-defense.
But so that's another thing. And I feel like that criticism is valid, but I also feel like it applied to every police state group of police at that time. I mean, the Green River Killer is the American version of this guy, and he got away with what he did for so long because he chose victim.
The Golden State Killer was very similar. That not the sex worker part, but the fact that he got away with it for a long time, and he started feeling really happy.
Yeah, he got away with it for a long time, and when you get away with something for a long time, it's like you're an all-knowing God. It's like you've done stuff right. So, and a corporation that doesn't usually catch killers, or a corporation that doesn't usually not catch killers, you start to get really cocky, and you're just like, okay, you're not catching me. That means I can do whatever I want. That's the downfall of most killers. But the ones that don't get cocky are usually the ones to stay alive and make sure that they don't. They're just like, okay, got to make sure that the police don't catch me this time, next time, or any time after that.
And that's the other thing, is if this guy was active today, I don't think he would have made it near this far.
No.
Because one, there's computers, and so all this information would get pieced together pretty quickly. Yeah. And the first or second time they had him in, plus we've had lots of sensitivity training with at least American police, and I'm sure it's the same in Europe as well. And so they listen to sex workers' issues now and do pursue murders against them more aggressively.
They're humans. They're still human lives.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, so I don't think the guy would get away with it near as much today, but certainly part of what let him be so successful was that attitude of they're just streetwalkers, they're just prostitutes, they're just sex workers, they kind of deserve it, which...
Horrendous attitude to have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I think murder is like the most entitled crime you can commit. I was thinking about that the other day because it's a crime that says not only is my life more valued than yours, but anybody else who is as well. And I get to make that choice because of my entitlement. And that's and in that moment, I sort of became anti-death penalty, which is weird because I've been pro-death penalty almost 30 years. But I just got to thinking, well, if I'm going to say that about people, then don't I need to say that about society? It doesn't matter what they did. We just need to find a way to separate them from us. Prison being the best way we have right now. Until we can start sending them to Mars, to Australia, some Mars colony.
No, I agree with that actually, because I someone made a really good point about that. I don't remember whether it was in a show I was watching or something I was listening to, in that I want to say it was something that we were watching on one of the crime dramas that we watch, or one of the true crime episodes that we were watching on a television, that when you make that decision, that life or death decision, that takes you out of being harmless, because you're taking another life.
Right.
It may just be taking the life that took other lives, but you're still taking another life. It may not be worth the paper it's printed on, is the old saying, as it were, but it's still putting you in that same spot.
You're not making yourself any better by hurting. You're not making somebody else. You're not making yourself look any better by killing someone who's taken multiple lives.
Because they took other people's lives. And they have that one instance, or even years of expecting it and then it happening. But how does that even things out?
It doesn't.
No? Because you're just releasing them into whatever is out there. It doesn't really...
And that's why, and see, that's part of why, to my mind, the American death penalty experience doesn't work, because, and I hate to tout anything they do, but in Russia, what they do is if you have a death sentence, you don't know when that date is. Just one day, they come get you, two guys, and you're walked into a room with a drain. And at that point, someone will say, "Don't turn around," and then it's done for you. And if we're going to do this, I kind of feel like they should have that same thing that their victims had of, well, this is, where am I going? Just come with us. Okay, cool. What's that? Don't turn around. Oh, darn. And it's
because no man kind of takes me back to the whole biblical with, the rapture, in that the Bible says that no man will know the day or the hour. And why should you get to know when it's coming?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like, so, yeah. And so, and unfortunately, Russia is not the only country that has a penal system like that. I just don't know off the top of my head other countries.
And I mean, it still comes back to, do we really feel like the taking of one life is a punishment for people?
Like,
And-
do different punishment. Like, people can learn from their mistakes, but they will not learn if you just take away their life.
And that's why, well, so, wow, that was exciting.
A lot.
We can unpack that.
Yeah.
To the end of our show.
Yes, it does. Thanks for listening. Thanks for keeping us in the Good Pods Top 100. I love getting that email every Wednesday. So that's nice. Thanks for being part of our Facebook group, and please join if you are not. We do love our people in that group so much, and I love the guesses we get when I put out an episode, a picture for an episode.
Does anybody like joke around?
Oh, they do.
Our Facebook group is some.
Not as awesome as our Lexi, but still pretty awesome. Let's see. Thanks to Bill Berendt. Let me spell that last name for y'all. Behrendt. Bill Berendt is the man that does our theme music. If you need music for a project, or if you need someone to perform an event, Bill's your guy. You can reach him at Bill Berendt at sbcglobal.net. Also, thanks to Paige Elmore of the Reverie Crime Podcast. Thank you, Paige. Now, why am I thanking Paige? Well, Paige has in addition to a pretty kick-butt podcast, a Canva addiction, and she combines that with artwork from our own Krysta to make logo art for us. So thank you, Paige.
Thank you.
And thanks to Aaron Gnurk of the Big Dumb Fun Show, who continues to promote us locally. Thank you, Aaron. Please join us next week as we look into the legendary Mayan city of Zunantunich.
Boy, I'm glad you said that, because otherwise I was just going to say, God bless you.
Yeah.
Bye!